Okay, everybody, we got the recording going here, so you will be able to see this after the fact. It'll be all recorded in the uh, members area for you. So what I want to cover today is some basic stuff that has been coming up a lot. First thing is we're going to go through the logins. There seems to be a lot of confusion about the logins. Then I'm going to talk about common questions. We're getting the same questions over and over and over. So I'm going to address those. And then I'm going to actually go through campaign setup, because there's been a lot of people that are just not confident knowing, all about the setup of the campaign. So I'm going to cover that. And then I'm going to talk about the agency model. And there's been a lot of questions about the agency model. How do you get customers? How do you service the customers? All of that. So we're going to cover those main areas, and then at the end I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So I think we'll probably get most of this out of the way with what I've got, because believe me, I've been seeing the questions here over the last couple of weeks pour in. So I know the common questions that are coming up at this point. So, all right. Somebody says I'm having trouble with audio. So yeah, it seems like it's okay. All right, so let's get into the logins first. Let's talk about that. There are two main logins. When you first signed up for SitePop, you should have gotten two emails. One of them is our members area, and the other one is our back office. The back office is where you actually set up your campaigns, your projects. The members area is where we provide training, any of the bonuses, all of that stuff. So another thing is people were not figuring out how to get into that, which it's interesting. But let me go ahead and share my screen so you can see what these look like. So this is the members area, and you should have gotten this email first when you very first signed up. You should have got an email with this link, which is dominators.internetdominators.com/SitePop login. All one word, all lowercase. Now, this is how you get into the members area. If you don't know the password here, there's a forgot password that will send you either a password reminder or a way to reset your password there. There's also a link here to support. That will take you right to the support page, which if you click on the support page, basically you'll go here. And this is where you can put in a support ticket. This is the best way to communicate any kind of issues, because it goes to our tech team. If you email me your issues, then it comes to me, and then I have to relay it, and it's not really logged in the system. So please use the support system and put in a ticket if you've got any issues or anything. But back here, if you log in here, you'll go into your actual members area. This is not where you set up your campaigns. This is basically our members area. The bonuses here. A lot of you have been asking about the WordPress files. So this is the funnels that we've done for the agency version. If you're looking for the WordPress, you can get it right here. You can download the zip file. It's got all the 4 pages in it. If you want to get Kartra, we actually have a download of the Kartra template that is a full template. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the agency thing. There's a Q&A section here. Keeps popping up that. There's past videos here where we've done Q&A, and then there's Q&A for the common questions. There's also best use training. I did a couple of different videos on best use, how to get the most out of SitePop. I'm going to cover most of that here today, so this is where these will go. So you'll find them in here. All right, the apps, where you actually download the apps, we're sending you back to the back office for that, because that way there's one place where they're always up to date. So you need to log into the back office to download your apps. Also, same thing here. This is your management control panel, and it's my.site-pop.com. That's how you get into the back office. So when you're in the members area, you have access to everything, but not everything is here. Sometimes we'll send you over to the back office for stuff. Like if you're looking to download the apps, that's back office. If you're looking for the main control panel, that's back office. There's a start here. This is a basic install video. This is like if you're going to install the Windows app on your machine. There is one thing in here that is, we created this video for our beta testers, and back then we were creating accounts manually, and sometimes we would allow them to create their own account. So there's a thing in there, if you see the thing about it says create account, that link is no longer there, so just skip over that if you see that. All right, so that's the login to the back office, or I'm sorry, not the back office, that's for the members site. So that's how you get in there. Again, it's dominators.internetdominators.com/site-pop login. The help desk is, again, you can get this link from just about anywhere on the login page. Any of those will send you over there. See right here, you've got my profile. There's the support button. That will also take you over there. And then there's a log out. So that's basically how you get around in there. Again, there's the support tickets. This is the actual login for the back office. And I'm not going to go in there right now because I'll go in there when I show you how to set up a campaign. But for now, that's the logins. Basically, you've got 3 areas to log in. I apologize, it's not all in one convenient location, but the systems that we're using multiple systems to get this done. So I apologize for the multi-logins. All right, so let me go through some of the other stuff here. These are some of the common issues and questions that have been coming about here. Let's see. Yes, Joshua, I will paste all of these URLs in there for you, so no problem. Okay, minimum requirements for the devices. And let me just state what a device is. The device is what runs our apps. Our apps run on the Windows platform, the Mac platform, the Android platform, and the iOS platform. So whether you've got a cell phone, an Android cell phone, Android tablet, iOS, any of the iOS devices, Mac and Windows. Now, for Windows, Windows is the biggest pain in our ass we've ever seen. We've been running stuff on Windows for a long time, and it's always been the big challenge. So if you've got the other devices, they're much smoother. You'll have much less issues with them. If you are running Windows, this requires Windows 10. This is not going to run on Windows 7 or Windows 95. They do not support what we're doing here. There's a lot of advanced functionality that we're doing to accomplish what is going on behind the scenes. So if you're going to use Windows, it's got to be Windows 10. You've also got to have all the updates in it too. Otherwise, it's not going to work right. The other thing, another issue with Windows, just by default, Windows has all kinds of stuff that can get in your way. They've got all kinds of security pop-ups and blockers and firewalls and antivirus and all kinds of stuff that can potentially cause issues. You can always get around them, but like I said, it's not going to be your smoothest sailing path. If you're an agency and you're running this for clients, I wouldn't even mention that it's on Windows because it's going to create a nightmare for you to support that. You believe me, you don't want to support the Windows system. They're always changing, and there's so many different variations to it on everyone's different computers that it will probably drive you nuts. Mac always requires you to update things. It forces the update. So Mac, there's very few problems we've encountered with the Mac devices. When I say Mac devices, I'm talking about desktops and laptops. iOS has been very stable also, and so has Android. So if you're going to deal with clients, I would recommend that you put them on the mobile apps. They're just by far the most stable and the least issues, the least problematic. That way it doesn't create additional support issues for you. Okay, so make sure, another thing too that I want you guys to be aware of, I don't know how long each one of you have been in the system, but if you've been in the system for very long running the Windows app, I would really urge you to download the newest version. Just uninstall the old one, reinstall the new version that is up in the back office. It's going to solve a lot of possible issues that you might have been encountering lately. It also is much more stable in its connection to the back end. So there's a lot of things that it will do that is not being done currently. So I do urge you to download and install if you're running the Windows app to do that. If you haven't done it in the last week or so, go ahead and do that. Okay, so another thing, there's been a lot of confusion around this, and I'm not really sure why, unless somebody had not watched the presentation or seen any of the videos, but a lot of confusion about how many apps it takes to run this. And if you can install more than one project on an app, and the answer to that is no. You have to have every project. A project is defined as a website. It's a website you want to have a campaign to promote that website. So that's what we call a project. For every project to actually get searches to happen for that project, you need to connect devices. Our network is built out of user devices. So the more devices that we have connected, the more powerful the network becomes. Which brings up another question that's always coming to me is, will I only get searches from my own devices? No, your devices become part of the network. You are able to get searches from all the devices in the network. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get searches from all the devices in the network. Depending on how many you need, everything is randomized. And your searches will be based on the location of the actual business that the campaign project is for. So I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get into showing you how to set up a campaign. But here's the deal. For every device that is connected to a project, you get a project code when you create the project. You connect that project code to the device. Every device will ask you to log in. When you log in, you put an email and a project code. Once that project code is logged into that device now is connected to that project on our back end. That way you get searches for that device being connected. The devices should be connected all the time. Like if you're turning your computer off and leaving it off for extended amounts of time, like days on end, that device is now going to show as not active. So it's going to remove those searches from your campaign for that period. So it's important that devices stay connected. The mobile devices are by far the most stable on that. Like if you have a computer, if you have a laptop, make sure that you set it to not continuously go to sleep. I know a lot of times when it goes to sleep, that device is no longer connected. You know, the internet connection is not live during the sleep mode. So make sure that you do connect those and keep them live as much as possible so you get the right amount of searches to your project. Okay, so each device connected gets approximately 166 searches per month. Now that's an approximation. Everything in the network is randomized. You might get more one month, you might get less one month, even, you know, day to day, week to week. It's meant to be completely natural. So make sure that you've got enough devices connected. Like the normal default for a project is 500 searches a month. That tells you you need 3 devices connected to get that much. If you don't want that many, just connect 1 device and you'll get less. Connect 2, you'll get a little bit more. With 3 devices, you should get somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 searches a month. So in the agency version, you can actually control that. In the normal version, it just defaults to 500. And in that case, if you want less, just connect less devices to the project. Okay, like I said before, you cannot connect multiple projects to one device. It's one device is one device. You can only put one project code in there. Another thing, people are asking if they can spoof their IP, if they can put it on VPNs and make it look like the devices are all over there. You don't need to do any of that. You don't need to do proxies. You don't need to do any of that. Just connect the devices. It's okay if they're all on the same IP. That still looks very natural. Think about an office building. An office building might have, you know, 1,000 people in it sharing the same IP, running searches out of that building. A Starbucks, same thing. When you're connected to a Starbucks Wi-Fi, there might be 20 people in there in that room, all on the same IP, running searches. It's totally natural. So don't worry about that. Just connect your devices, make sure they're connected somehow to the internet, whether it's Wi-Fi. If you have a cell phone that's actually active, it does not require much data, so don't worry about that. If you're buying devices off of eBay or some of the other places just to get additional devices, all they need is Wi-Fi. You don't have to have active cell service on them. Turn on the Wi-Fi, connect it to your Wi-Fi connection, and you're good to go. Okay, so I think I answered the question, but this is one I'm getting a lot, is will I get searches only from my own devices or from other devices in the network? You get access to all the devices in the network. That is the beauty and the power behind this whole thing. That being said, we do run high search proximity. What that means is you'll get more searches from the location of the business, and then they get lighter and lighter as they go out. This is a very natural thing, even for national campaigns. If you have a national account that you're doing a campaign for, it works the same way. Any business that's in any city or location, it makes sense for the people around that business to know the name. They know to search for it. So you know, it's not just for local. That makes sense in any scenario. Okay, so next question, will it work for Google My Business? This is not specifically made for Google My Business. This is to run searches to your own site. But that said, we've got a lot of reports that reported back that after using this, it did improve their Google My Business listing. So that is what I can say about that. It was not designed for that, but it seems to be an after effect. So that's a really good thing. And I think what's happening is when you solidify your actual website and it's connected to the Google My Business account, I think it gives it more credence. So I'm pretty sure that's what's happening in that scenario. All right, same thing. Can I use it for YouTube, LinkedIn, and all these other third-party sites that you've got profiles on? It was not initially intended for that, but there is a way to do that. What you have to be careful of is that you don't wind up promoting someone else's video in YouTube or someone else's profile in LinkedIn. You need to put search terms that your profile will come up first for. And if you've got to make them unique, then that's what you need to do if you're going to try and do that. So Make sure that the search phrases you put in for that campaign, make sure they're unique enough that no one else's profile or video will come up first. Make sure yours is the first one up. Even if it's not for keywords that you want to rank for. That part doesn't matter. And I'll get to that when I start talking about the keyword section, putting a campaign together. All right, another question here is, do I need basic SEO? And the answer is yes. SitePop provides a third of the algorithm. It's like Google is still looking at links, they're still looking at on-page optimization, but they're also now looking at the user experience. They're looking at artificial intelligence to decide who is going to rank on top. So if you've got one of those, you're not, in your customer or your competitor rather has 2 or 3, you're probably not going to win. So it is still important to have basic SEO. You know, get some basic links coming in, make sure your titles and your descriptions are right. And I'll tell you what, here's a big reason to do that. Because when SitePop does what it does and it starts ranking your sites higher, you're going to start getting real traffic. These are real customers. And if you've got crappy titles and crappy descriptions, guess what? Even though you're at the top, they're not going to click on you. That doesn't do you any good. So when I say, you know, that's important, that's why. You know, if you don't have basic on-page SEO, which is titles and descriptions, you know, and content, you're going to get people on there, and they're either going to leave or they're not going to click to begin with. So basic on-page is really important. It's kind of a foundation. If you're not going to do that, then I don't see anything really working for you. Because even if we drove you all the traffic, even if SitePop did a miracle and got your site at the top with nothing else and it drove you all this traffic, what good is it if you're not going to get them to click through, you're not going to get them to stay? So make sure you're creating good content. Make sure you're linking it so Google can find it so it gets those signals. And then SitePop will come in and it will do the rest for you. I've seen SitePop work just on its own in situations where there's very little competition. But if you're in a market where, you know, there's a lot at stake, there's a lot of competitors, and there's a lot of fighting going on, you're going to need all the weapons in your arsenal. And if you come to the table with everything else that everyone else has and you bring SitePop on top, you're going to win. So that's what it's all about. All right, another one. How long before I expect results? In the SEO game, if you've played the SEO game for any length of time, you know that's a loaded question. There's a lot of variables to answer that question. What I do, and I'm going to show you this when we set up the campaign and I start talking about the agency model, is I'm going to show you how to get the fastest results, and that's from picking the right keywords. If you pick the wrong keywords, SEO can take a long time, if ever. So it's all about picking the right keywords as to how fast you're going to get results. Okay, and the other one here, before we get into actually setting up a campaign, several people have asked, is there going to be bumps in the road? And unfortunately, yes. We're doing very advanced software development here. It's going to have challenges. I know some of you have experienced some of those. If you got in through Todd's launch, it was like everything was running so smoothly. We had all of our beta testers in, we had all of our students in, all of our clients in. Everything was going smooth as glass, and then we ran the campaign for Todd. We got a couple hundred new customers dumped into the system, and right at that point, there was a couple of major platform changes, updates, and unfortunately, it broke our back end. So we had about a week where we were scrambling, trying to get things back in order. And I know some people just were coming unglued about that, That is just an inherent piece of the software game. So yes, there's going to be bumps in the road. Is it worth riding them through? Absolutely. I've been doing this kind of technology now since about 2011. It has been the only thing that's really moved the needle for our customers. And now it's even more important. The reason that we shifted, we used to have a product called Rainmaker. And Rainmaker did basically the same thing, but it did it all from desktop, from Windows desktop. And from the beginning of this, you know what I think about Windows. It's a pain in the ass. So that system worked really well for a very long time until Google really fired up its AI and it started looking at brand recognition. And it started looking at mobile signals, and it started looking at proximity search and all of those other things. That's where our original product started to come unbuttoned. And that's why we created SitePop. SitePop addresses all of those issues. As far as I know, there is nobody out there that's doing anything even remotely close to the level we're doing it here. Some of them are doing some stuff. There's like crowdsearch.me. I have gotten reports that that's no longer working because that's using the same technology we abandoned a couple of years ago. Some people, you know, it might still work for them. But I'm telling you, most of the signals that Google's paying attention to are the ones that we're delivering in SitePop right now. So it's going to change. That's another thing. People are asking, are we going to upgrade? Are we going to add new features? And I'll tell you what, the most important feature that we could add is staying on top of that AI, staying on top of Google's algorithm. Yes, we will be shifting to match that just like we always have. Occasionally, those updates are going to break some stuff and we're going to run into some issues. Just know that we work behind the scenes to fix that stuff as fast as we possibly can. When we get notified, it doesn't mean not to notify us. Sometimes there's something goes on that we don't know about. So it's good that we stay connected and communicate. So anyway, put those in. If you come across something that's not working or doesn't seem like it's working, definitely put a support ticket in so we know. A lot of times we do. We'll just thank you, say, we know about that. It's being addressed and we'll get to it. We'll get it solved as quickly as possible. There's still a couple of things right now that we're still dealing with. One of them is connection issues. When you guys connect your devices, sometimes they show up in the back office and sometimes they don't. We know about it. We've figured out why, and we're working on addressing the code problems that will fix that. It's basically a listening device that is listening and basically reporting back to the back office if the devices are connected. But regardless of whether it's showing you if they're connected or not, we see them as being connected and you are getting the searches for that. So you're getting the credit even though you don't see them there. And we hope to have that situation resolved here in the next few days, hopefully. All right, so let's get into an actual campaign setup here. I'll get over here and share my screen again with you. Okay, so I'm going to log in, and here's another thing I wanted to address as far as the campaign setup and the back-end dashboard. Once you log in, this is basically what you see. The only difference between an agency and a non-agency is this white label tab here. So if you don't see the white label tab, that's either a basic or a pro. Other than that, everything is the same. Like you'll notice, even in the basic version, when you go under your profile, it still says agency name. That's just your company name. So you need to fill that in, which that is a very important thing. I'm going to go over here to the agency version, and I'm going to work in here so I can show you there's a couple extra things that it will do that the other one doesn't, and I'll just cover those. But here is a very important thing, and this can actually crash your iOS devices if you don't do it. So if you've got iOS devices connected and every time you try and look at them and they just go black and they disappear, It's probably because you don't have the profile set. If you've left any of this stuff blank, if you've left your phone number blank, you left your website out, all of that needs to be filled in. All of that, like agency, that's just your company name. If you don't have a company name, just put your name in there. First name, last name, email, phone number, and website. It's very basic stuff, but it needs to be there. If the app doesn't see that stuff, then it crashes. So make sure you set up your profile. It's very important. If you want to change your password, you can do it right here. Same page, it's on the profile page, right under your name. Okay, so that being said, to create a new project, there's a new project button up here. If you're on the dashboard, there's add a new project here. So there's several different ways to create a project. It doesn't matter which one you choose. When you click that, it's going to say create new project. Now the project name is not correlated to anything. It just shows up in your dashboard to identify the project. So you can name that anything. I would recommend naming it either your client name, the website you're going to promote, something that you will know what it is when you put that in. So I'm just going to put test in here just for the heck of it. Now website URL, this is just the domain. This is not the full URL. This is not a sub page. It's not even a subdomain. So when you roll over that, see the little question marks here, those are helpers. Like if you get stumped, if you don't remember what I said and you need a reminder, and you roll over the question mark, it says leave the http:// only put in the domain name. No slash after, just whatever .com or .net or .org or whatever you've got. Put it in there. So I'm just going to put my own in here, internetdominators.com. Now, the email address, you can put any email address you want in here, and here's what I would recommend that you do. You put an email address in here that correlates to the project. If you're going to have multiple projects, you want to keep them all straight. This doesn't have to be a real email address. The only one that needs to be real is the one over here in your profile, because if you reset your password, it's going to send it to that email address. This one here is not going to send anything to anybody. It's just basically to make the connection. So you can put whatever you want in here. I'll just put sp@id.com. Oh, I need an sp@id.com. Okay, company name. This is important. This is where it's going to make the brand connection. If this runs and it doesn't see one of your keywords in the listings, it's going to come back here and it's going to grab a brand variation. It's going to connect it to the keyword and it's going to rerun the search. So this is where you put your company name. Like I am Internet Dominators. When you hit enter, it's going to give you a second field. Enter company name too. So company names can be anything that's unique or brand names. Like you can put your own name in there. I'll put my own name. Hit enter, it gives you company 3. Here you can put your domain. This is a pretty unique verifier for a brand. If they know your domain and they're searching specifically, basically what that does is that creates a navigational search. Those are really important to Google. When people know your brand, they know your name, they know your website URL, it's telling them that this is a navigational search for something that someone knows about. And these are going to be added randomly to keywords that don't show up yet. If a keyword is run and it doesn't show up, it's going to go back and it's going to connect one of these, pogo stick back and rerun the search. Okay, so brand names, when you roll over this, again, it's going to give you examples here. Bike Shack, the Bike Shack. If this is like, let's say you're doing a dentist or a real estate agent or an attorney firm office, they could have dentist names, attorneys' names, all of the practicing people of that office. Those are all brand names. You could add any of those in here that you wanted. I think you can put up to 5 in here. And now keywords. This is where you're going to get fast results if you pick the right keywords. If you pick keywords that are on page 2 or 3, this will basically move them up really quickly. If you pick keywords that you're not ranked anywhere for, and you probably don't deserve to be ranked anywhere for, that's going to take a long time if it works at all. Wouldn't recommend that. Also, notice here, add more keywords, maximum 12. You can add up to 12 keywords in here. The less keywords that you add, the more they're going to get hit with searches. So let's assume that you're connecting 3 devices and you're doing the allowed searches of 500. If you put only 3 keywords in, each one of those keywords is going to get roughly 166 searches a month. If you only put 2 keywords in, it's going to get roughly 250 searches a month. If you put 5 in, you're going to get roughly 100 searches each per month. So if you're in a more competitive niche and you've got more competitive keywords, then you're going to want to put less keywords. If you're in a non-competitive niche and you've got keywords that have very low search volume, then you're going to want to spread it out, put all 12 in there, because there's going to be less searches showing up for each one of those keywords. The number of keywords that you put in, you can just divide that into the number of searches, and you'll know the rough approximate number that each keyword is going to get searched during the month. Okay, so I'm just going to put keyword 1, and I'll copy that, and we'll just put that in a few times here. Keyword 1, keyword 2, and keyword 3. Again, you can put any number you want in here, maximum 12. And just know the more you put, the more diluted those searches are going to be. You might need to dilute them. If you're running search terms that not very many people search for, you don't want to all of a sudden come up with 500 of them for your site. That might be a little fishy. Now, where you might be looking for keywords that have low search volume, sometimes there's really unique stuff out there that is very high dollar. I know this because I have clients in the water park industry. There's not a lot of people searching for water park developers, right? It's not like they're searching for Rolex watches or something. So there's very low search volume in those type of searches. Yet they're very, very competitive because there's only a few vendors that are doing it. So you don't want to come out and like go crazy. So that is a case where you might want to dilute the keywords and just get less searches for them and let it do its magic. The other thing I want to tell you about keywords, it doesn't matter what keywords you put in here. All the keywords for your entire site are going to benefit from this. This is like increasing the domain authority through appealing to Google's AI. When Google sees that you have brand recognition, they're going to start ranking you for other keywords they never ranked you for before. We have proof of that coming out our ears because everyone we've ever done got the same result. It ranks you for more keywords and it brings more up behind you. So it doesn't matter. You can go for ultra long tail keywords that you don't really want, but you happen to already be ranking on page 2 or 3 for them. Those are the best ones to go for first. As those come up, others will be pulled up behind them, and then you can come in and you can alter your campaign and change them. Put the next level of keywords that are on page 2 and 3. Pull those up. Keep repeating the process, and pretty soon you're going to be pulling the real keywords up that you wanted to get. But if you shoot for those first, it's going to be a long road and you may not get anywhere, and you're probably not going to get the huge value of pulling everything forward at at the same time. Anyway, okay, the contact page. This is the page that's on your website that people would land last typically. Like, this is where they might get your contact information, they might request a quote. It could even be an About Us page if you don't have a true contact page. But this is the page where after Site Pop goes through your site, and it goes through a few pages, it's going to land on this page last. It's going to stay there for a couple minutes, and then it's going to close out the browser session. So that's the signal back to Google that the user got exactly what they wanted and they were satisfied, and they closed the session out. So that can be really any page. We put contact page because that's the most likely one that someone would go through, learn a little bit about you, land on that page, and then finish out the session. That's just the most likely place that that would happen. Okay, so any contact page, that should be that should go in there. Now, here is where you can put allowed searches. This is only available in the agency version. If you've got the Pro or the Basic, it's just going to default to 500 and you cannot change it. In the agency version, you can change this. Like, you could put this up to 1,000 if you wanted to. You could even put it to 10,000. You can go up to 25,000 keywords. You're allotted 25,000 keywords with the agency version. You can split those up any way you like. You could create 50 projects with 500 keywords each. You could create one project with 25,000 keywords. It doesn't really matter. Keep in mind, though, whatever you put as your allocated searches here, you have to have the number of devices to support it. So it's approximately 3 devices per 100 or per 500. So if you're running 1,000, you would need 6 devices to get to that level. Okay, so I'm going to make this 1,000 here. And next, the last piece to this, after you've got all that stuff done, actually I need to put that in there. Let me just grab that. You can't leave anything blank here. So I'm just going to put in /contact. Okay, and then an address. When you start typing out your address, it will populate the latitude and longitude. Now, if you're running a home-based business and you don't really want your home address in there for some reason, this is not going to show anywhere. All this is going to do, it's just going to tell our back end where the physical location or approximate location of that business is, and then it's going to look for the devices that's closest to run those searches first and heaviest. So if you don't want to put it in, you can just put in your city. And then you'll see it starts dropping down. You could put, Huntington Beach High School, just generically Huntington Beach. It will just geolocate it right in the center of the city. And it puts in the latitude and the longitude. And it automatically knows what time zone it's in. So once all that stuff is done, you can just go ahead and hit Save Project. And now you'll see under the Projects section, it shows up. So right here, you'll notice the project code. That's the code you need to paste in or type that into your devices when you connect your apps on your cell phones or your computers. That's what you put in. Another thing that's really important here, you've got to click the Run Project button. Otherwise, it's just stagnant. You'll come back, you'll see there's no activity, there's no searches because the project isn't running. You can click the Run Project button right now before you've even connected devices. That way it's just sitting there, it's ready to go. And then when you connect your devices, you'll be all good. But just make sure that you hit that Run Project button. Otherwise, the project will just lay dormant. Another thing we've had is some people wanted to stop a project for some reason. They recognized when they came in, or they realized when they stopped the project, it was still running searches. The reason for that is these searches are queued out. Our back-end system queues out, a day or two's worth of searches, and it randomizes all that. So if those are in the queue, those searches are still going to continue until they die out and there's nothing else to replace them with. So just understand that it doesn't stop on a dime. So, okay, let's see here. Okay, one thing I want to cover in the agency, and this is basically where we can move to the agency part of this. Like I said before, the only difference is you've got a white label tab here. When you click on the white label tab, you'll notice you can actually put your company information in here. You can put your logo, you can upload it. That will change the logo up here at the top. Now, the white label part of this, when you're in the agency version, it's basically going to display your agency information on the apps. The other thing is it's going to display it in the back office. So instead of saying site pop here, it will show your logo. Now you don't want to give back office access out to your customers. Your customers should only see the app. The app has their project code, it has their keywords, and it has their ranking on it. And it also has your agency information. That's all they see. It's all very generically labeled under marketing assistant. So there's no tie back to site pop. They can't figure out, where you're getting it, or it just looks like it's yours. The only reason that you would need to white label your back office part is if you had an employee and you didn't want the employee to know this address, this my.site-pop.com, so they could go around you. I have seen a lot of situations where an employee saw how much money was being made with a particular product. They went and bought it, and now they're working for themselves. So this solves that problem. You can go ahead and white label this, and then they don't necessarily see that. So it's just a level of security for you if you want to go that far. You can also set up a CNAME here, where if you put a subdomain and then your domain, that will create a CNAME record here. Like if you put in, I'll put RM, and then notice it puts RM in the name here. So you would go to your hosting provider and you would change the CNAME, or you'd add a CNAME record to your DNS called RM, and the value would be rm.site-pop.com. And then you put the domain in that's going to forward to. SitePop will forward that back to your domain with this behind it. So that's how that works. There's not very many applications where this is going to be beneficial to you, but it's here if you need it. Okay, so now let's see what we got here. Okay, so as far as the agency version and selling this to customers, one of the big questions is asked is, do we have marketing materials? We do not have printed physical marketing materials to pass out for this kind of stuff. We operate online, so we have websites. So we have created a funnel, a marketing funnel, and this is how we sell it. This is the landing page that we would send prospects to. And we're not selling it as an SEO service. Notice the way this is packaged. It's packaged as a local SEO booster. Now you could do this for national campaigns too, but this is a specific campaign that I've created that would appeal to almost any local business. It's basically the promise here is get more traffic, leads, and sales from your website. Just $97 per month. You can change that to whatever you want. This is just a basic skeleton that I put together of a process. This is a sales process that works. It works really well. This is the stuff that these local customers are going to be interested in. They want fast results. They want no long-term commitments. It's hitting all of their buying triggers. They want more traffic, leads, and sales from their website. $97 a month is pretty appealing. That's a pretty big markup when you figure you're buying these campaigns at about $4 a piece. You get 50 of them for 200 bucks. So $97, that's a huge markup. I've got some people that are going up, I've heard up to $297 for it. It's worth it. It's just the lower you go, the more you'll get, and the easier it's going to be. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, here's another thing that I put on here is you must qualify to receive this offer. It's almost like a takeaway. And you know, if any of you have been in sales, you know that a takeaway is very powerful. When somebody sees something that they want, oh, another thing too, we put guaranteed results, and I'll show you how we guarantee the results there. But when you get something that somebody really wants, and you put something in their way where they might not be able to get it, it makes them want it even more. So I put right in here, you must qualify to receive this offer. There's a couple of things that I put as their qualifications. They have to be willing to use their own devices for their project. They have to be willing to contribute 3 devices to the network. Everybody has 3 devices. Very few people at this point in the game don't have a cell phone, don't have either a spouse or a kid or a friend or an employee with a cell phone, and a laptop or a other mobile device, a tablet or something. Most people have way more than 3. Excuse me. So that's one of the qualifications. The other qualification is they've got to have a site that actually ranks. You know, you don't want to take on somebody and guarantee it if they don't have a site ranking and they don't have any ability to rank or any reason to rank. You don't want to do it. So anyway, they click on here to see if they qualify, and it basically pops in an opt-in box. They can go here and they can do show me the qualifications. That's going to now take them to the sales page. And here we've got, thank you for your interest in our local SEO boost program. And notice, you know, again, it's a boost program. It's to boost existing keywords up onto the first page. You got this service covers boosting up to 12 local keyword phrases to page 1 of Google in less than 90 days. That's where the guarantee comes in. What we tell them down below here, let's see, where's the guarantee? Here's the guarantee. We guarantee our SEO boost service will move at least one of your local keywords to page 1 of Google in the organic search results within 90 days. In the rare case that it takes longer, we will run the service free until we reach that goal for up to 1 year. That's your guarantee. On average, we get local keywords boosted to page 1 in far less than 90 days for sites that qualify. But this is our minimum performance guarantee for your peace of mind. So it's basically just showing them that you stand behind the service. It eliminates any objection that they might have because of that. Okay, so here we're thanking them for their interest. We're telling them it provides up to 12 keywords and basically what it's going to do. Here's the warning. Not everyone qualifies for this service. By accepting your offer, or before accepting your order, we must evaluate your website to see if it qualifies for the service. The first step is to sign up using the link below. So they actually have to buy it first to see if they qualify. Right here, we say you will receive a full refund if you don't qualify. I have used this sales tactic many times. I've done it from stage in a live audience. I've done it online. I've done it face-to-face. It works really good. That takeaway, that whole takeaway thing, it really ties them into wanting to purchase. Okay, so now we're just giving them instructions. Once your order is placed, you will receive a link to schedule our initial consult. This is where we'll evaluate and verify if your site qualifies for the service. If your site does not qualify, you will receive a full refund, so there's no risk on your part. If for some reason you don't qualify, we will tell you what needs to be done so you can make the adjustments to qualify. Basically, this will open the door for other SEO services if you want to offer those. If there's, if they don't have their on-page stuff right, if they don't have any linking, this allows you to offer them those services. The other thing it does is most people have an SEO provider at this point. So getting them to switch is kind of difficult. But the thing is, most of them have paid that SEO provider for a long time, a lot of money, and they're scared to make the switch for whatever reason. So here, because we've packaged this as an SEO boost service, they can add this on top without changing their SEO provider. Basically, it's just like they can put their toe in the water. Guess what happens when you come in for 97 bucks and you're the one that moves the needle? What do you think they're going to want to talk about next? They're going to want to talk about replacing their SEO guy with you. It's a great door opener. Okay, so continuing on, sorry, but we simply do not take on clients we cannot help. That right there, that is like the biggest thing that has drawn people to me, is I won't take them on if I can't help them. I have done that for over 20 years. Believe it or not, people really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of people that are just getting started, and you're scrapping for customers, and you're, for lack of a better word, desperate to bring on new business. Don't take on people you can't help. No good will come of it, ever. It will give you a bad reputation. It'll give you just a bad feeling in your gut when you have to have that come to Jesus meeting with them. It's just not worth it. Okay, so, but at least you'll get some top quality advice in the case that you don't qualify. So you're making a win-win even if they don't qualify. And then here's some top reasons for not qualifying. You don't want to take on bait and switch sites because Google's going to shoot those down. It's going to make you look bad. Thin content sites. If you promote a thin content site, it doesn't matter how cheap you are. If they don't get business out of it, they're not going to be happy. You don't want people that are not happy. Poorly configured sites, sites that have, inherent issues with keeping them from ranking to begin with, and sites that have no ability to convert. If you've got a customer that their expectation is to make money with their website and they don't have a way to convert, I'm sorry, you cannot make that person happy. You don't want to get into selling something to somebody that you have no chance of making them happy. So moving on, as mentioned above, if you do not qualify, we will help guide you in fixing your site so you do qualify. I look forward to speaking with you and giving your site the SEO boost it deserves. So then they click the button here and they actually go to the order form. Now this funnel is built with Kartra, and if you want to get Kartra, this is all done for you. Literally, there's a couple of things you have to change, but this is the entire funnel. All right, so assuming they ordered, here's the thank you page, the thank you for your order. Now let's schedule your initial consult to make sure you qualify and get your site boosted. So this sets them right up to schedule an appointment right inside the Kartra calendar. So they can go down here and they can pick a time, and they can just go ahead and pick that time to schedule their consultation with you. Once they schedule that, they get the thank you for scheduling page. So there's 4 pages to this funnel. that walks them through the process of grabbing their attention, creating demand and desire. I've done everything I could in the copy to eliminate any objections for you, and it makes an offer. It's a really compelling offer too. This should convert very well in almost any market, any local market. You can tweak it for national stuff. You might also want to tweak the price too, because $97 a month for a national thing might seem too good to be true. Okay, so thank you for scheduling. Check your email for details. Looking forward to boosting your site to the top. That's the end of the funnel. Now the follow-up email goes out. In Kartra, it has automatically 3 follow-up emails to make sure they show up for that appointment, which is either a phone call or a Zoom call like this. And that way, what you can do during that appointment is you can take a look at their site, make sure that it's a decent site and their expectations are right. And then you can also see if it ranks. This is the big thing. If the site doesn't rank, if it shows up like non-existent, you don't want to take them on. It's probably not gonna work in your favor. The tool that I use for this is called SEMrush. I know most of you that are in the business probably either know about this or have it. I use this tool almost on a daily basis, and anytime I'm talking to a customer, I pull this up right away, and I can get a look at what's going on in the back end of their site. So if one of you guys wants to have me run your domain in here, go ahead and put it in the chat box. I'll take the first one that comes in there. Now I just have to figure out, oh, there it is. Okay. All right, I got one here. Okay, Rally Sin. Okay, so this tool works pretty quick. It goes and it runs its search, and it shows me here that they rank for 94 keywords. It also shows a pattern over time here where I can see, they probably weren't doing anything in 17, 18. Let's see, here in September, it looks like August, September, maybe even July, they started doing some SEO, and then all of a sudden they got this big boost in February, and then they tanked. So this is actually a good scenario. They've got backlinks, so I'm assuming that this site has got some SEO, or it wouldn't have 1,700 backlinks. So this site, the pump is primed here. This is actually a good example. I would take this customer on. This would probably work. Now here, notice, here's the organic keywords, and there's 94 of them, which shows right up here. They're losing traction. I would guess that the site is probably losing traction because is probably the user experience. It might have people bouncing off it. It might not have good click-through ratio. The titles and the description. So that's some stuff you want to look at, make those recommendations for them, but then take them on. Now the next thing I'll click on here is, now we get into, okay, we're going to take this customer on. Now we need to select some keywords. So I'll click here on the full view, the full report. And it takes it a minute here. Okay, so what I'm looking for here, this is the position that they're in. Like here's one, here's a towing company, Philadelphia, PA. They're already on the second page. Be very, very easy for me to push that keyword to the top. Now, I can probably push that keyword to the top within a couple weeks, and all of a sudden now my guarantee is fulfilled. Piece of cake right there. Here's another one, towing in Cape Coral. That one's on page 3. Probably pretty easy to push that one up too. Let's see. Here's one. Coral Gables Towing. Number 11, I'm just off. I'm one off of the first page. How easy would it be to pop that one up? So that's it. You want to consider this a local SEO boost program when you're selling it. So this is absolutely perfect. You could go through this with the customer, pick a number of these keywords. You could pick up to 12 of them. The less you do, the more it's going to get hit and the faster results you're going to get. But this is how you get fast results, using SEMrush to figure this out. You could do this by hand if you had a couple of weeks, because you're going to be running all kinds of searches hunting for your domain, and it's going to be a very long, frustrating process. You saw how long this took me to do. A 15-minute consult, and this could be over. You could look at their site, you could run the keywords, you could see if they qualify. And the last qualification is, are you willing to connect 3 devices with our apps? Because that's what it takes to run this. And you can physically tell them that our network is going to be running searches on their behalf based on all the apps in the network, and their apps are going to become part of the network, which is what qualifies them. So there's never any pushback. When you tell somebody that you've got something no one else has, and this is how it works, and this is why it moves the needle, I mean, just tell them, just have a conversation with them. Tell them the reason they're not ranking on the first page is Google is rewarding brands. Very easy to prove that point. You can tell them, look, run a search for almost any keyword you want in Google, and you'll notice the top sites are major brands. It's almost every search now. You'll see major brands, whether it be Yelp. In the real estate business, there's particular ones in the real estate business that are like Yelp in the local business. If you're running a search for a product, you're going to notice Amazon's there, Target, Walmart. There's going to be major brands at the top of damn near every search you can run today. So it's easy to prove to them why that's happening. You can tell them it's because brand recognition. Our service will connect the keyword to your brand and run the search volume in a mild manner, very natural, to make it look like your site now also has brand recognition. And then it's going to be worthy of being put on the first page. So it's a very easy conversation. They'll understand that. When you're dealing with business owners, never talk about SEO details. You will turn them off. You will scare them. They don't want to hear it. All they want to hear is what it's going to do for them. I guarantee you, none of your customers wake up at night thinking, God, if I only had SEO, my life would be great. They don't think that way. They think if I had a way to get traffic so I could get new customers. And yeah, Mike says their eyes glaze over. It's true. They really do. But what they want leads. They want prospects. They want sales. That's what keeps them up at night. They think, God, if I could only, I know if I close 1 out of 3 leads, if I could just get, another 12 leads a month, I would close enough sales to not have to worry about whatever. I'd be able to take my wife on that vacation, or, whatever it is that they need the money for. They're going to equate it to that, not SEO. They don't equate that to what they want. Nobody buys the features. They buy the benefits. So focus on what they actually want. You might give them a little brief description about, how it works, because, and very basic, not technical, like I just explained it. When I explained what was happening there, I was talking about real world things that they can see. They don't have to understand the algorithm. They don't have to understand artificial intelligence. All they need is the basics. So it's that's the way I've always done it. In fact, when I used to go out and actually do presentations to customers, like if I wanted to sell them an SEO account, I would basically go and I would have a conversation with the business owner, and it would go something like this. I would ask them about their ideal customer, And I would describe what that means, what an ideal customer is. It's the customer that brings you the most profit with the least amount of your effort. They don't require service. They're not a pain in the butt. They're just a good person that's going to buy your most expensive stuff and then keep buying it and refer their friends. Tell me about that person. Who is it? What do they buy? Tell me about them. And then they do. They get excited when they do it because they know, God, it gets them on a thought process of, man, if I could only get a few more of those guys, it would be awesome. And then once they've told me about them, the next thing I ask them is, okay, thinking about that person, what do you think they would search for if they were looking for you? If they sat down in front of their computer, what do you think they'd type in? And then they tell me. And then I take it back to them and I say, well, let's do it. Usually they're in front of a computer. I'm like, do me a favor, just pull up Google and run that search and let's see what happens. They run the search, they're not there. And then I ask them, I go, do you recognize any of these people? And I know they do because it's all their competitors. And all of a sudden, they're making the connection now. I'm not telling them they need SEO. They're making the connection that, oh my God, my ideal customers can't find me. I've just ripped a hole in them 3 feet wide and they're bleeding on the floor. It's a good time to offer them a Band-Aid. So that's what you need to do. Like, sales is really important for any business. If you guys are running an agency and sales is an issue, it's probably because you just don't have a sales process. And sales process is dependent on what your customer really wants. So it's really important that you get to the bottom of that and figure out how to have a genuine basic conversation that doesn't talk about the nuts and bolts, that talks about what is really important to them. Let them make the connection, and they will basically tell you, what they want to do. Generally, when I get to that point in the presentation, if you want to call it that, it's just a conversation, they're asking me, how fast can we fix this? How soon can you get this rectified? How soon can I be there when my ideal customer is looking for me? And it generally is not about price at that point either. And if it is, I kind of turn that back to them and I say, what do you figure that's costing you to not be there? What do you figure it's costing you to just be passing off your ideal customers, your most profitable customers, lifetime customers, just passing them off to these competitors? What do you figure that's costing you? So that's how I approach the sales process. Now, you probably don't have to go to that level for a $97 thing. I think they're going to be tripping all over themselves to see if they're going to qualify for this thing. But that's how you do it. That's how I do it anyway, and that's how I would recommend that you do it as well. Let me see here. Just look through my notes here. I've covered SEMrush. Oh, here's another thing. If you do take on the clients, I mentioned this in the beginning, I would recommend that you not tell them there's a Windows app, just because of the support issues it's going to bring up, because Windows has all kinds of different configurations. They can run into every kind of situation you can imagine trying to install this Windows app. The Android device, they go to the Play Store, they one-click download, it pops up, they put their project code and their email address in, and it's done. Same thing with the iOS, pretty much same thing for the Mac. The Mac is a very easy install as well. So when you're doing your qualifications, I would qualify them by using those three. And yeah, Mike, Windows 7 is not supported, nor is 95. You've got to be running Windows 10. Our software runs some very complex scripts on the back end, and it relies on the latest, greatest stuff being in place. So if you're using, if you're trying to use very old technology, it's not going to work. Even old phones, this requires the latest smartphones for this to work. That's what's in the, you know, those are the most prevalent in the marketplace. This, you know, the technology prior to the smartphones just won't run what we're trying to do. So, okay, so I think I've got everything I had. This is the stuff I've commonly been coming across over the last couple of weeks. If there's other stuff you guys want to put in, I know you've been putting some stuff in here. Okay, Dell asks about sleep mode. Is it the same with mobile? Generally, mobile devices do not go to sleep, so they're perfect for this. Sometimes tablets do, so you can go in, you can kind of go in and configure those. I know with desktops you can configure the sleep mode. You can just turn the sleep off and it will continue to do its thing. Okay, Basic has 3 projects. If you have 3 projects running and you delete a project, can you add a project? Absolutely. You're in total control of the back end. You can archive the projects. You can stop them. You can restart them. You can do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, you have total control to add and delete the projects as you wish. Okay, when does a campaign start? Basically, when you hit the run button, it starts the process. If you don't have apps connected, then it's not going to put you in the queue to run searches. Once you're in the queue, the searches don't necessarily start automatically right away. Sometimes it can take, you know, up to 24 hours to get in the queue, depending on when stuff is queued up. So what I can tell you about this, don't watch this like a pot of boiling water. There's stuff that takes time to happen. You know, one of the things, I've been training people on SEO for over 10 years, and it drives me nuts when they watch the ranking like minute by minute. The rank bounces around constantly. That's going to drive you nuts, and when you ask me about it every 30 seconds, it's going to drive me nuts too. Rank is meant to be checked periodically on an ongoing basis to form a baseline and a process line. It's not meant to be watched minute by minute. Okay, so same thing with this. I mean, this is meant to be set it and forget it. Start your project, connect your devices, and then check it back in a week, you know, or a few days or whatever. Don't expect things to be like second by second. Even showing that the devices are connected can take some time for that to update with the back end, the way the reporting is. So, okay. Let's see. Is the report of ranking now accurate? Okay, here's the thing with the rank on the phone. The rank that is showing on the phone, like when you look at the rank report on the phone, it's displaying where the last search found the rank. So it is accurate in that aspect. Sometimes you'll see it in a position where you'll go ahead and you'll run the search and you don't find it in the same position. That's normal. That's very normal. What's happening is we've got all these devices out there, and they're running the searches, and as they run the search, where they find the site, they're reporting that back. So if a new one runs a new report and it gets a different result, it's going to update that. So they might bounce around. In fact, they will bounce around. And it doesn't mean the same user is going to get the same result when they do it. I have tested this with my own group, with my own students. We'll have people from all over the country. We'll be on a Zoom call like this, and I'll tell them, I'll say, okay, everybody run a search, a particular search for this keyword, and report back where it's ranking. And they're all over the board. So it's rank in Google is not a static thing. It's always moving. It's a moving target. They have done everything in their power to make sure that it's very difficult to figure out. So it's a moving target all the time. But what I can assure you of is these searches will get Google to pay attention, and they'll get Google to recognize that you do belong up. You belong up the ladder because you've got this search activity going on for you. And again, it's not an overnight thing. This is not meant to make the needle move in 24 hours. Nothing in SEO is. Google actually has stuff in place that one of the things, if you guys watched one of the webinar presentations, I covered this extensively. A lot of times when you do something new in SEO and all of a sudden Google now values the site more, they automatically put the brakes on it sometimes. That's actually part of their algorithm to check for suspicious behavior. So they will drop your rank temporarily. Some people call it the sandbox, but this is really what's happening. They'll drop your rank temporarily, and what they're looking for is they're seeing if you change. They're seeing if the habit changes. So it's like a trap. You know, some people call it the sandbox. I call it the sand trap. If they alter their output because of what you did and you alter your behavior because of that, then they've got you. So don't do it. You know, I always use that analogy of the antiperspirant commercial, never let them see you sweat. And I have had this happen. I've had experiences where we had drops for a day, a week, a month, and even 6 weeks. That was the longest I ever saw. I had a customer that was down for 6 weeks on their rank. And I got to tell you, it was really making me rethink that thing of whether we should change gears or not. But we stuck it out. And then the next day, boom, they went right to the top, and they've stayed there ever since. So when you go through the process, this is also something that happened many years ago. A lot of people that were creating the private blog networks, the PBNs, they were doing it in a way where they got caught. And a lot of those domains got banned out of Google. I know Dory Friend from SEO Nitro, she lost over $1 million in one day from sites getting banned in her network. And she was on the phone with me to find out what to do about it. And I said, Dory, don't, because she was ready to dump the domains and abandon them. I said, Dory, don't dump the domains. Leave them as is. Keep whatever you've been doing the same. Just keep on doing it. The sites were banned. They were not even indexed in Google. But we kept the path on, and it took 2 years. This is how I know how long a Google ban lasts. We've actually wrote it out. It's 2 years to the date. The site will get re-indexed, and if it's still there and it's still been continuing on like nothing ever happened, Google assumes that that site is real, and it almost has like diplomatic immunity. You can do all kinds of stuff to it and they don't care. It'll probably never get banned again because you rode out the storm. So I've been in this game for a very long time, and I've seen just about everything there is to see. So that's not sure where I was going with that, but it's a cool cool fact to know. Okay, how do you recognize bait and switch on a website? Pretty much if they're putting information out and that's not what they're doing. Like I see a lot of people doing click here for this, and then it takes them to something totally different that's not congruent with reality or ethical. That's what I'm talking about with bait and switch sites. Sites that are getting people on mailing lists so they can mail them all kinds of other stuff that they didn't want. Coupon sites are notorious for that. It just pisses the users off when they don't get what they clicked on. Like, you'll show these coupons, and it's like, click here to get the coupon. And then when they click on it, they send you to, down some rabbit hole, and you're never going to get the coupon. That's a bait and switch site. Okay, back-end reporting. The back-end reporting is still not fixed. That's one of the things that we're working on. So like one of the things that could cause frustration with is if you connect your app and then you don't see it as being connected in the back office. It's, if the app is connected, if you put the email in and you put the project code in and logged in with that information, it says live and all that, it's connected. We see it on the back end. So there's not a reason to worry about that again. It's that whole thing back to connect it, set it, forget it. By the time you look again, we probably have that fixed and updated. Yes, you do not need cell contracts for this. All you need is a device, a smart device that connects to Wi-Fi. So if you're, like I've gone onto eBay, behind me I've got a whole bunch of tablets lined up behind me for my own projects and a couple of clients that didn't have enough devices, which is pretty odd to me. I think they just wanted to be a pain in the butt. But anyway, I've got those behind me. I picked them up on eBay for about 25 bucks a piece. What they are is it's devices that got returned to Sprint or AT&T, where they'll lease you the device for like a year or two, and then you have the option to buy it. Well, at the end, a lot of them get returned, so they'll get dumped. They'll go to a clearinghouse and they'll dump them on eBay or, you know, Craigslist or different places like that. So I've picked up several, you know, fairly inexpensively by doing that. Okay, let's see. Okay, a lot of them about the device reporting, which is still in process of being fixed. That broke the last time we had a Windows update. We had to make changes. Then when we made the changes, we realized that it broke other stuff down the line, which, like I said, there are going to be bumps in the road on this ride. This is what we're doing is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. We're supporting 4 platforms to do some pretty advanced activities. And the scheduling, the randomization, everything about all of this is completely randomized, so it's absolutely safe. As far as a list of compatible devices, if you're using Windows, it's got to be Windows 10, and it's got to have all the patches and updates. If you're using a Mac device, Mac forces upgrades and updates. So most any Mac device has been pretty solid and stable. If you're talking about an Android device, it needs to be running on a recent smartphone. Like I've tried it myself on some old phones that I dug out of drawers, and no, it does not work on the old stuff. If you've got a flip phone, not happening. You know, it requires a smartphone that has all the updates, that's running on the latest technology. Okay, what if lat and lon does not populate? All you have to do to get the lat and lon to populate, if you're in some rural area that it doesn't recognize, just put some major city in. That's really all you need to do. Okay, is the project code ever wrong? I have not ever seen a project code wrong. I have seen some reporting on the back end that's wrong. Like a couple of times we've had reports that someone else's keywords showed up, even, you know, in their report. We are aware we've got some definite reporting issues in the backside, and that's the stuff that we're working on getting that squared away. Okay, my devices all show from the same IP address. Is that bad? Again, that's a back-end reporting issue. The fact that a lot of searches come from the same IP is not a problem, but you should be getting, ultimately, when the reporting is correct, it should be showing devices from a bunch of different locations. If you're in a rural area where your devices might be the only ones in a very close proximity, then yes, you're probably going to see a fair number of your own IPs, your own devices running the searches for you. You should also see devices, you know, in a lighter version on the outside of that as well, though. Okay, I don't have a particular list of tablets that can be used. Just know that if it's in the last couple of years and it's got all the updates for Android, it's probably going to work. Like I said, I've bought a lot of them off of eBay, and I've only had a couple that didn't work. And when they got here, they were not as advertised. They were not the same one in the picture. Let's see. Okay, here's one. I can't add a new project. Okay, try to add new keywords. Okay, that could be because of your browser. I recommend that you try using the Chrome browser and make sure that you don't have pop-ups happening or pop-up blockers, things like that. Several things like that I've seen get in the way. If you're running these on VPNs, we don't recommend it because of the nuances VPNs create. A lot of times there'll be additional firewalls and things that will prevent sites from functioning properly. So that could be something. If you still have issues with that, go ahead and put a support ticket in, and what we'll do, we'll schedule an appointment where we can actually do a live screen share and see what's going on. I've found several obvious problems when we do that. So if you're having a problem like that and something just doesn't seem like it's working, just go ahead and put a support ticket in, and we'll get that handled. Let's see, can we get a transcript of the chat? I think I can do that. I know some people have had troubles with Firefox, others have not. I've had reports both ways on that. I have not yet had a problem with anybody using Chrome, unless they had some kind of a blocker or something like that. Okay, can you see what level of membership you have, whether it's agency or basic? Basic and Pro, the back end looks the same. The only difference in an agency is if you have the white label tab, you know it's an agency back end. If you go into the front, into the membership site, you go into the billing section, you would also know by the price that you're paying. If you're, the monthly recurring paying, if it's $197 a month, then you're in the agency level. So that's a couple of ways. Or you can run a support ticket in and we can look it up for you too if you don't know what you've got. But it's very obvious if you have the white label, it will have the white label tab in the back end. No, do not use incognito. That's something that could cause an issue. Use the regular Chrome browser, not incognito. Okay, let's see. There is no reason to use proxies on this. It's not set up for proxies. Not that you can't do it. It's not something that we support, and it's not something that's necessary. Neither is spoofing. If you're trying to spoof to make it look like your devices are all over the place, that's what the network's for. That's why you're here. If you didn't have this, then yeah, you'd be scrambling for all kinds of stuff to get that done. But you don't need that here. That's what this whole thing is built from, or built for. Okay. Okay, Dell asks, is there any reason why the Run Project button would turn off? I am not aware of any reason for that. Once you turn it on, it should remain on. If it does that on a repeated basis, I would say we probably want to look at that and find out why. Okay, let's see. All right, if I have not answered your question, I know these things at one point they were flying by so fast I don't know if I was keeping up, but if there's anything I have not addressed yet for you and you still have questions, just go ahead and put it fresh in the chat, and I'll get to it here. Okay, for national campaigns, would you recommend the client selecting cities that they want to target for running a campaign for each? Generally, in a national campaign, you wouldn't necessarily be targeting cities. That would be more for a local type of campaign. Okay. Jerry says, all my projects were turned off after the update from last weekend. That's probably the reason. That would make sense. Hamina, hey, how's it going? She asked, what would you recommend for brand new sites? You can still put site pop on brand new sites. The first thing I would recommend is that you get it indexed. Make sure it's indexed. Really easy to do. Just put a YouTube video in with the URL in the description, the first thing in the description. It'll have you indexed in about 30 seconds. Make sure the site's indexed. Make sure the site has good content. Make sure you get a few links at least and see what happens. If the site, and another big thing is pick the right keywords. If you get the right keywords, you can get an initial ranking going, and that's what I call traction. If you get traction going, it's very easy to pull a bunch of keywords up behind it. Another thing too, if you get traction on particular keywords, run the keyword in Google and then scroll down to the bottom and see the related terms. Take those related terms and add content to the site that has those related terms in it, and that will most likely rank you for those terms as well because they're tightly related. Okay, what are support team hours? It just kind of depends. There's 3 of us that are monitoring that, and every once in a while we do sleep, but we don't really have like set specific manned hours, but one of us is in there pretty much all the time. Let's see, what if the website does not have a contact form? Just put the most likely page in there that someone would land on as a last stop before they go back and close the browser out. Okay, for a site that has 1,000 visits a month and 100 ranking keywords, how many searches do you think looks natural? You could easily add 500 searches a month to almost any site, even a brand new site, especially if it's, well, not especially, because it's going to add the brand connection to it for you. We don't believe that 500 searches a month for even a new site is odd. It's not really that many. If you think it is, you can always reduce the amount of devices connected. If you've got the basic campaign that defaults to 500, just connect 1 device. Also, make sure you add 12 keywords because it's gonna stream them out. Okay, Kartra. If you're going to get Kartra, all you need is the minimum level. Absolutely, you can grow into the Kartra. It'll take you a long time to use up what they give you as a minimum base in there. I think it's like 89 or something like that per month. If you want to use Kartra, I have an affiliate link for it. It's internetdominators.com/Kartra, Kartra. I also, for any of you that want to get SEMrush, I have an affiliate link for that as well, which is internetdominators.com/SEMrush, RUSH. Okay, and with Kartra, we can actually load that campaign right in for you. So it's like ready to go right out of the gate. Okay. Yes, if you don't have the address in there with a Latin lawn, I don't believe it will allow you to run the project. I don't think it'll allow you to start it up or create it. Okay, how often are reports updated? The keyword reports on the actual app is in real time, but it's in real time from the last device that reported the rank for it. In the back office, we're working on reformulating the updates so they update much more often. I'm not exactly sure how often it's going to update. I would say at least it should be at least once a day on the back end reporting. Okay, here's one. I get a problem with the letter in the keywords, like odd letters. Yes, I don't know that I have an easy fix for that, but you could put a support ticket in. That would be more of a question for Chris of what he needs to do to allow those symbols in there. So that's definitely a support ticket issue. Can we iframe Kartra pages into our site? Absolutely. Kartra will give you the code if you just want to drop that code into a frame. It will do that. Another thing Kartra will do is Kartra will actually allow you to run a subdomain and do it that way as well. So it's very flexible. I absolutely love Kartra. I've been using it for about a year, and it has saved me a ton of money because it's got everything included right in it. It's a shopping cart, it's an autoresponder, it's a very advanced tagging and segmentation program on the back end. It's got a calendar system, it's your entire database, it's got a help desk, it's got affiliate program. Everything that you would need to run an online business is in there in one spot for one price. You're not bootstrapping things together. It does video hosting, it does landing page creation. It's seriously, I cut out about $500 a month of products I was paying for and just went with that for 90 bucks a month. So it's an awesome product. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Mike says, John, is that a big fish behind you? Yes, it is. And yes, I did catch it. I was 15 years old when I caught that guy, so he's still with me. He's pretty old. It's a blue marlin. It was 255 pounds, and I was like 15 when I caught that. And my dad said it was a good thing he wasn't 5 pounds bigger. He'd still be swimming. That was everything I had in me. Okay, let's see. Are there any compatible tools to SEMrush? There's Ahrefs, and there's a couple others also, but the thing I like about SEMrush is it's the only one I know of that will actually give you the rank of your keywords currently. So it's a great tool as far as that goes. I don't know of another one that does that. There's some other stuff like people like Ahrefs because it gives you a lot more detail on the linking, and if you're trying to backwards engineer a linking program, it's probably a better product for that. Okay, does this use cell data from your cell contract? If you're not on the Wi-Fi and you do have a cell phone contract, yes, it would use some data, but it's very small. It's just running Google searches. So it's not like it's downloading videos and stuff like that. It's just running searches and clicking through on pages. So very light. Also on the battery usage, it is very light on the battery usage. Like I haven't noticed any drain on my battery from running it on any of my devices. So very light on the data and the battery usage. Okay, let's see here. Can somebody put those links in the chat? I'll do you one better. I will send all the links out. I'll send you guys a follow-up email with the link to this recording, and I'll put all the links, all the stuff that we've talked about today, all the landing pages I showed you from the funnel. I'll put all of that stuff in an email, and I'll send that out to you guys, and I'll also post it in the members area as well. So you'll definitely have all of that. Okay, can we see the Kartra site? Yes, I'll give you the links to that, Van, so you'll You'll have that. Yes, you can edit all or any of the content in the Kartra funnel. You can even clone it and make your own. That's a really cool thing with Kartra is you can clone the campaigns. So once you get one dialed in, you can literally clone it, make some tweaks to it, and have it for a completely different audience. Like you could dial that in to where you had a funnel just for local attorneys. You could have one for plumbers. You could have one for everything. There's an unlimited amount of pages that you can have in Kartra, even at the low level. They don't have any restrictions on how many pages that you can create. It's really cool. Let's see. Any experience with pixels on your Kartra page? Kartra allows you to insert the pixels in there. It gives you, there's an SEO tab where it'll allow you to change your titles, your descriptions, add all of your OG content to it, the open graph tags, and it also has a place where you can insert stuff into the head, into the body, so you can put any tracking tags, pixels, whatever you want inside your Kartra pages. You can absolutely do that. As far as, I've got this question quite a few times about the Android versions and operating systems. The only one I know for sure is on the Windows operating system, you've got to be on Windows 10. It does not work on any of the older versions. As far as Android, I don't even know how the versioning works on that, but I know we have not had any problems in Android devices that have come out in the last couple of years. Pretty much all of the recent smartphones of the last couple of years work just fine. If it doesn't, you might try just updating the Android software to the newest version, and it should work fine on that. Okay, let's see. Somebody says there's a lot of inexpensive tablets on the market. Yes, I've actually purchased, you know, quite a few of those, and I haven't had any trouble yet with those except for one, and it was like a super old one. It wasn't what was in the picture. I bought it off of eBay. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, this is back to the city targeting for national campaigns, and really the meaning behind a national campaign is typically just that. It's not tied to a city, but you could certainly geolocate your keywords by just targeting the keyword into the city into the keyword rather. Okay, will the run project button work if it shows no device? Yes. As soon as you create a project, you can hit the run button. You want to do that. You want to get the project live and running, and then you can connect your devices to it. So that's not a problem. It can run even though there's no projects connected to it or no devices connected to the project. Okay, I did add a device a while back, but never populated. We did a major update here last weekend. And if you've got devices that are not connected or anything like that, I would encourage you to log out and then log back in. If it was any time when that update was going on, you might actually even check your projects and make sure your projects are running, because we've had a couple people report on this call that the projects were not running after the update. So do go in, check that, make sure your projects are running. Just log out, log back in to any of your devices. And even if you do that and they don't show up as running in the back office, it doesn't mean that they're not. We can see them. And another thing is, I've had several people that have been with the system for a long time. They said even that it's not showing that it's connected, they're still seeing the searches come through, and everything looks like it's all in good shape. Okay, let's see. What was the name of the program that does everything? That's Kartra, K-A-R-T-R-A. I'll send you guys a link to that. It really is. It's a phenomenal program. Any of you that are familiar with Infusionsoft or what was Infusionsoft, I always tell everybody this is what Infusionsoft wanted to be. They just never got there. It's really cool. If you've used ClickFunnels, in my opinion, this blows ClickFunnels out of the water. ClickFunnels, you've got to connect a bunch of other stuff, or you've got to buy a higher version to get access to stuff like the affiliate program, or even being able to mail your customers. I think that's kind of ridiculous. And you've got to bootstrap a bunch of programs together to get ClickFunnels to actually work and do what it's supposed to do. In Kartra, everything's right there. It's right there in one easy control panel. Even your calendar, it will schedule events for you. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Mike says Pro Rank Tracker is a good option for rank tracking. I don't, yeah, that's a great program for tracking rank, but I don't think it will go out and hunt out what you're already ranked for. SEMrush is the only one I know of that would do that. Okay, let's see. Do customers have any problem connecting their devices? We've not seen problems from customers necessarily unless you give them the Windows app. We've had the most support tickets over the Windows app by far. So what that relates to is if you're dealing with customers and you're giving them access to the Windows app, you're going to have support questions and stuff when they go through and they try and install it and all of that. So I really recommend that you don't offer that to your customers. Okay, where can I get this funnel? It's on the bonus page inside your members area is where both the Kartra funnel and also a WordPress version of it. And if you get the WordPress version of it, it's a raw shell. You're going to have to connect a shopping cart. You're going to have to connect a database. You're going to have to connect an autoresponder. You're going to have to connect a calendar system, and you're going to have to make all of that stuff work together. It's going to be bootstrapped together if you're using the free WordPress site. No problem with that if you know how to do that, but we're not going to support all that stuff. You're kind of on your own with that one. If you use Kartra, if you use the Kartra system, I am happy to support that one because I use it every day, and I built that funnel, so I know everything there is to know about it. If you need help with that, I can certainly do that. Okay, Patrick says, how do I get your funnel in my Kartra account? You can import it. If you go in there, I think the instructions for it are actually on the bonus page, and then the import code is there. So basically you import that into your campaigns. If you go to the campaigns section, the campaign tag inside Kartra, it will give you an option for done for you, and that's where you can import. And you just put that code in and it'll import it, and away you go. Okay, let's see. What's the most economical way to add devices? The most economical way is to get your customers to add them. Another thing, if you've got friends, relatives, employees, anybody, if they've got a cell phone, just say, hey, I'm doing this thing and I need some apps installed. Could you install this app for me? It doesn't do anything. It just kind of runs in the back, and just have them download it. Give them a project code and an email address, and go to it. Another thing that I wanted to mention, when you add your email address to the apps, this is a little trick for you guys. When you add the email address to the app, it does not have to be a real email address. What I do is I put, instead of my name, like John@internetdominators.com, I will put laptop at internetdominators.com. I will put John's cell at internetdominators.com. I'll put my wife's name, Barb's cell, at internetdominators.com. That way, I can see in the back office, I can see which devices are connected very easily. So you can do that for your customers too. When they enter their email address, you'll know who that device belongs to. So that's just a little trick that makes things easier to, like if you're like me and you've got 10 or 20 devices connected behind you and they're all the same kind of device and you use the same email address and the same project code, and one of the devices goes offline for some reason, you have to go through all of them to figure out which one it is. But if you put a unique verifier as an email address in there, you'll go right to it. You'll know exactly which device it is. You can put a little sticky note on each one. If you've just got a bunch of these in your office that are running, just name them and put a sticky note on them as to which one that is, and then make the email address according to the name. And then that way you'll easily be able to find the culprit if one of them goes bad on you. Okay, I missed the beginning of the video. Yes, we are recording it. I'm going to put that up for you guys so you'll have access to that. And let's see, what else? When you say log out, do you mean in the device or in the site pop-in? I'm talking about the device itself. So there's a little log out button like on your phone or your app, or in if you're in Windows or Mac. Basically, you're just going to log out. There's a log out button, and then it's going to ask you for the project code and the email again. Whenever you log out, you physically log out, it's going to ask you for that again. Now, if you just restart the phone or you restart the Windows system, it doesn't log you out. It'll just start back up. But if you physically log out, you have to put the project code back in and then go back and add the email address and log back in. That's what I was referring to. Okay, what's the link to the app in Google Play? If you go into the Devices tab in the back office, it's got the links to both Google Play and the Apple Store for the devices. Also, if you just go to the store itself and you just type in marketing assistant, and sometimes you'll find two marketing assistants. We're the one with the little blue light bulb. So it's a little blue light bulb, and you can find it that way. But it's under Marketing Assistant. That's the name of the actual app that you install on the phones. So that's how you find it. All right, I think we've about got to the end of the questions here. If there's anything else, go ahead and put it in here. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap up. All right. Okay, guys. Again, if you've got other stuff, just put in a support ticket. I will do more of these. The next one, this one, I had a lot of stuff to cover. I've covered pretty much all the issues and what people have been asking and facing. So this was great. I'm going to do another one here in a couple weeks once you guys get up and running, and I'll be able to answer questions specific to particular campaigns. So if you want that, just hold on to those for a couple weeks. Let's get everything ironed out, get your projects up, get them running, and then I'll circle back around and make sure that that you guys get all of your questions answered and you get the support and help that you need. Okay. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will get this video rendered and get it up in the members area for you. And I'll get that email out to you guys with all the links and all the info that we talked about here today. All right, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.